Welcome to the MTSS Leadership Series, Module Number 2, Growing Collective Leadership. The audience for this module is school leadership teams who are ready to create a plan to grow collective leadership at the school. This module does have a flipped content portion. These texts will immerse the team in professional knowledge around collective or shared leadership and should be read by the team before the meeting in order to work through this module. If your team has not already read these resources, please do so before beginning this module. You will see that you have the framework for collective leadership and the explanation around that framework. You also have a blog from teachingquality.org about shared leadership in the schools of tomorrow. You have a document about collective leadership from the Department of Education in Massachusetts. And then you have the SAM for MTSS from our Florida resources. And we are going to look at the leadership portion of the SAM in order to work through this module. So let's refresh ourselves. This is the leadership portion of the SAM. Remember that it has 5 items under the leadership section. Read over these now, thinking about where the school is as far as not implementing, emerging and developing, operationalizing, or optimizing in terms of building that idea of shared collective leadership. And here are items 4 and 5 to also review. This is the second round of our MTSS modules for South Carolina. These modules are intended to go more deeply into aspects of each of the critical components of MTSS. In this module, we will explore collective leadership as an aspect of the leadership component of MTSS. So our learning targets for our time together, we hope that participants will grow and/or refine their understanding of collective leadership in schools. Also, that participants will develop goals and an action plan to grow and/or refine collective leadership at the school. So, our essential questions are: what is collective leadership? How can collective leadership influence capacity building and student achievement? And how do we grow collective leadership at our school? As always, we need to keep in mind our rationale for using MTSS. It is a framework for continuous improvement as we build towards meeting our state's goal, which is having all students graduate college and/or career ready. So let's begin by building some background knowledge around collective leadership together. What is it? It is a group of people working together towards some shared common goal. It is the assumption that everyone can lead and should lead. It is the combined influence. Notice that word combined influence of educators, parents, and other students on school decisions. It is a network of influence. Lasting success is not possible without diverse perspectives and contributions. Shared responsibility and decision-making, shared accountability, shared authentic engagement. Collective leadership is all members involved in creating the vision and carrying out the mission to achieve that vision. Some key features of collective leadership are a shift from thinking of the leader as the hero who comes in to save the day, rather thinking of the leader as a host who helps facilitate and promote. Another key feature is as the host promotes shared learning, effective shared decision making, reflection, visioning, goal setting, mutual accountability, instead of that vision of the hero who uses a command and control model to offer quick solutions. A key feature of collective leadership is power with others rather than power over others. Why? Why should we strive for collective leadership, shared leadership? What does the research say? Well, here are a few bulleted points and the source. This research comes from the Wallace Foundation. This is a live link. You can go there and you can read it for yourselves. You can take a minute right now and pause this and actually read these 5 bulleted points. And here's what we want you to take away from that research. Leadership that is related to improved student outcomes is collective leadership. It has a stronger influence on student achievement than does individual leadership. Higher performing schools give greater influence to teacher teams, to parents, and students. School leaders have an impact on student achievement primarily through their influence on teachers' motivation and working conditions. Believe it or not, their influence on teachers' knowledge and skills actually produces less impact on student achievement. So, what are the conditions for the success of collective leadership? Well, these things are required. They have to be in place. There has to be trust, shared power, transparent and effective communication, accountability, and shared learning. So knowing these conditions are essential to the success of collective leadership. Take a moment, pause the webinar or the module, and think about, ask yourselves, what is our school's reality? Where are we in a sense of collective trust? Where are we with a sense of shared power? Where are we when it comes to transparent and effective communication? Where are we when it comes to those feelings of accountability? And where are we as a faculty with that whole idea of shared learning? What is our school's current reality? And then go ahead and talk through, brainstorm some ideas for how we can continue to grow these conditions. So leaders working within a collective leadership model, they really do 4 big things. They are setting directions. They facilitate building a shared vision. They foster the acceptance of group goals. This is a feeling of empowerment to set goals for ourselves. They create high performance expectations and they communicate the direction the school is going. The second thing, they are key in developing people. They provide individualized support and consideration. They offer intellectual stimulation, and they model appropriate values and practices. And look at the sub-bullets underneath those main bullets. Number 3, they are instrumental in redesigning the organization. They build collaborative cultures in the name of redesign. They modify organizational structures to nurture collaboration. They build productive relationships with families and with communities and connect the school to each other and to the community. And last, they are good at managing the instructional program. They staff the program. They monitor the progress of the students and the teachers and the school as a whole. They are in classrooms regularly to do this. They provide instructional support through professional learning and resources. They align resources. They buffer the staff from distractions. And again, you can see where all this comes from, the source at the bottom. Take a minute and actually view this video from Peter Senge. It's on systems thinking and collective leadership. As you watch this video, what tips does your team need to take away from Peter Senge to use in growing collective leadership at your school? Make a list as you watch the video. At the end of the video, pause this module and allow each member to discuss the tips that you found to be the most helpful. Have a note taker compile the list from each member into one team list that you can actually use as you begin planning to grow collective leadership at the school level. This framework is a guide for how to grow collective leadership in the school. Notice the 4 stages going down the left side of the chart. Number 1, know community. 2, build a strong team. 3, develop the individual. 4, make the change. Now look at the stages going across the top of the chart. Stage 1, the building trust. Stage 2, co-constructing purpose and a strategic plan. Stage 3, acting together. And stage 4, deepening, sustaining, making work a way of life. Where A, knowing community, and stage 1, trust intersect, the chart says to explore your history and how successful change has happened in the past. Think about what actions have brought about successful change in the past at this school, and then examine really what made this change successful. This tool will be instrumental to help you as you are planning and implementing and growing collective leadership at your school. So take a minute and think about how you might use this framework as you grow collective leadership. Now it's going to be time to pause the module once again. Allow every member of this team a chance to share their big takeaways from the text and materials that you were supposed to read before beginning this module. It really helps here if you talk from the perspective of the role you fulfill on the team. For example, if you're the administrator, talk about the big takeaways for you as an administrator. If you're a teacher, talk about the big takeaways for you through that teaching lens. If you're a guidance counselor, talk about the big takeaways from you through that guidance counseling lens. If you're a parent, talk through the lens of parenting, but share those key takeaways from the resources that you were asked to read before beginning this module. Go ahead and view the last 2 slides of this module. There are tips to keep in mind as you plan for growing this shared collective leadership at the school. When you, the leadership team, have completed the 22 slides, come back to this one and follow these directions to create the plan for the school. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Keep these things in mind as you plan. And you probably want to talk through them. You may even want to do some personal thinking first and then do some small group talking and then some whole group sharing. But keep these things in mind. Is everyone aware of the shared literacy goals from the reading plan probably at the school? If not, how are we going to do this work? How could we be creating, how could we be creating opportunities for teachers to be leaders? How do we or how could we involve educators, parents, and other stakeholders in school decisions so that everyone feels empowered? How could we honor all voices, perspectives, and contributions? And lastly, what is our vision? How do we get everyone involved in creating the vision we have for students at this school? What needs to happen to achieve that vision? And then lastly, you're going to go public. You're going to plan for how to present this to all the stakeholders in your school and then follow through with the plan. So let's go back now to slide 23. As a school leadership team, use the resources you explored, the discussions that you participated in during this investigation, and create a plan for how to grow collective leadership in your school. Use the SAM to assess where the school is currently and to set some realistic goals. Then use the collective leadership framework and the other resources as you create this goal or these goals and the action plan to grow towards or refine collective leadership in your school. Good luck. I hope that you have found this module to be particularly helpful. And good luck on your journey to growing collective leadership in your school.